Hey.
So now it's filling up. Sounds good.
All right, we're live. I'm gonna leave the Zoom call and watch on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, maybe something that you could do beforehand is just to put the name of your organization next to like your full name, so also viewers and even like among us, it will be a bit easier to know who is working where. That could be, I think you can easily just modify your name in the settings of Zoom. This could be a bit more practical.
Wow.
Okay, so does everyone can hear me well for now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So maybe we will start because I will be speaking for the first few minutes. So we'll also give some time for the other one to join. So first of all, hello and welcome to this online event. So my name is Thomas. I'm co-founder of Climate Connect, so which is a non-profit climate organization where we aim to connect all climate actors in the world, because we think it's only through collaboration that we will be able to make a difference. So today's topic is about sustainable fashion, and so we invited you all to get to know more about it, and because you're all having some organization working in that domain and some strong expertise about it. So this event is currently live stream on YouTube. So for the ones who are watching us, you can ask some questions and some remarks in on YouTube. One of your teams can just gather everything, and we will have a question and answer session in the middle of the event. So there it will happen mainly into two parts. The first part is going to be a general introduction of fashion, and then we will give you the words just for all of you to introduce yourself, and so we can get to know you a bit more. Then we'll follow the question and answer session, and after we will have an open discussion for about 45 minutes. Concerning that, so on the YouTube description, we will put the link to the Menti. Menti, for those who doesn't know, is this website on which you can upvote for questions. So because we've highlighted 5 topics that could be interesting to talk all together today. But however, due to time restrictions, we think only 3 will be possible to approach. So what we would like you to do is just to vote for the topics that you think are the more relevant for everyone just to talk about. And this way it will also make it a bit more interactively. So viewers, also participants can just talk about which topics.
Thomas, we can hear you double.
Pardon? What? Sorry?
I think for me it's fine. Maybe it's yours, Javi.
Yeah, it was my problem. I'm sorry. And also welcome from my side. Hi. Good, Thomas, go on, please.
Okay, sure. Yep, so that's how basically the event will go. Just maybe 2 words before we start. What we would like for all of you to have after the events, and the goals of the event is to get some knowledge and also get leads of collaborations. Get some knowledge because each of us should be aware of the impact of buying his clothes, and because fashion is having an enormous impact on the environment, and everyone should be aware of that. But not to blame the fashion industry, because there is also a lot of solutions, and you guys here are the proof that it's possible to do both pretty and sustainable clothes. So the idea is to have a first overview of all the techniques and also the impacts that does exist, and some solutions to make them more sustainable. And then also about leads of collaborations, because sustainable fashion still represents a tiny proportion of all the fashion industry. but we need to all team up and work together towards making it better known by people and more important. And collaborations can happen in two ways: the collaborations between people to companies, in the way that people as individuals, when buying, especially for fashion and clothing, when we're buying some clothes, it's all not only about the clothes itself, but also it relates to the brand. And for those who share some environmental values and concerns, it's really important for us to have brands like yours that are actually making some projects that go and fit along our values. And then also for the companies, more and more companies are actually trying to integrate and create communities where their clients, so they not only be individuals that buy their stuff, but really to create some momentum and create interactions with their community. And so this is how we think that people and companies can all work together by promoting sustainable initiatives and also including people into the decision-making and work, so they can also share experiences and share some feedbacks. But this only can also, like, this is not enough by itself. We also need some collaborations between amongst companies themselves. And this on the fact that, first of all, there is still some knowledge that we need to acquire on the way, like, for example, on the, especially on the fashion industry, there is always way to still make some more to have more sustainable practices. But to replicate that properly, we need every actors here just to share some knowledge and just to share some experience with the other one, because as we are still small, if we don't all gather together, it will be even harder to raise our voices compared to more regular brands. So this is what we would like to happen during this event, so people can take out some knowledge about it, and also to find some leads and possible leads of future collaborations between everyone. So now that has been said, I will briefly go through an overview of the current impact of the fashion industry, and then I will give you the words so you can all present yourself and your activities. So first of all, like, all of us, or at least most of us, are wearing clothes every day, which means that it's like we will always have to deal with creating clothes and fashion. Like, it's a fundamental of our habits of living, and it means also that we need to find some way to produce them in a more sustainable way if we want to be able to lower our greenhouse gases emissions. But so first, to have a global overview of the topics, we need to understand that, for example, in 2018, more than about 129 billions of clothes has been produced, and overall, this represents about 10% of global greenhouse gases emissions produced in a year. So this is, on one time, like, completely like an enormous, amount of greenhouse gases being emitted. But the good news is also, like, because solution exists, it will also allow us to have a really significant impact by lowering those emissions due to sustainable practices. And when speaking of impacts, especially for a product, the best way and the more efficient way to see it is to go over the life cycle analysis of a product. So for fashion projects and for clothes, it will go, so the analysis, the life cycle analysis is about from the creation of the raw material until the end of life, and if possible, the recycling part. So if we take to the first step, which is to acquire those raw materials. For clothes, to be really to go really quick around on it, there is two types of material that can be used: plant-based materials and plastic-based materials. So for plant-based materials, it requires some landfills and to grow these plants. So for example, if we take cottons are one of the most used materials in fashion. However, it's also consumed a lot of water. For example, for a jean, on average, it can consume until 4,000 liters of water just to produce a single, like enough content for a single jean. On the other hand, plastic, as you all know, plastic is made from petrol, which is also quite polluting. But this is only for the first step for producing the raw material. But then when you have the raw material, you need to produce the clothes that will be made out of it. And this production step will always happen in, or at least in more majority of cases, will happen in factories. And factories also quite polluting on the way that they requires a lot of energy that can often come from petrol, oil, and other polluting sources, and also requires chemical projects and those chemical projects, depending on the countries and the regulations, can sometimes be, for example, released in nearby rivers, which will cause enormous impact on the people and the environment. And now that your product is finally being created, still needs the step of distribution. So the distribution relates to the transport of the clothes, but also for the raw materials that have been needed in first place. Because something that's also interesting to have in mind, that's for an example again, a jean, it can sometimes travel 1.5 times around the world before getting to its final destinations, because cottons can usually be grow into India, then be processed in Pakistan, factorized in China, and then be sold into Europe. So, or sometimes even before getting used, the clothes has traveled all around the world. And then goes the use time when the customer just buy the product. And according to a study from Greenpeace Germany in 2015, about 40% of clothes were rarely or never being used. So this is also another step where there's some improvement can be possible just to deliver and to buy some clothes that are actually needed. And then the last part, the last step, which is the end of life and if possible recycling. But recycling only represent about 15% of all of the mass of clothes being produced. And only among them, only 1% is actually recycled in closed loop. So this is a rough overview of this sector. So you would have understand that there is, like, it has a lot of impact, but also there's a lot of possible solutions that can be found. And this is now the time. So I will give you some times to speak about it. So you can just present us a bit how you're managing these practices. So maybe we will start with Armengel, if you'd like to have the word first.
Yeah, sure, I can start. So my name is Kati, and since October last year, I'm working for Armed Angels, which is based in Cologne in Germany. And Armed Angels is a fair and eco fashion brand. And we have 4 collections per year. And we were founded in 2007. And since then, we achieved a lot. So we have 100% sustainable materials, mostly mono materials. So at the end, it's possible to recycle the products. And we have 100% clean processes. So no hazardous chemicals are used in our products. And we have also established fair working conditions. I know the focus of this event is more on the environmental part, but for me and for Armed Angels, sustainability is also on the social part as well. Yes, and we have also nearly 100% transparency in our whole supply chain. And we are working currently on our circular products and our circular strategy. So we will launch our first circular tea soon, and yeah, we'll expand that in the next 10 years. So we hopefully will be circular in 2030. And since last year, we've been becoming climate neutral. So this is only for the headquarters and our work at Armed Angels. It's not for the products, but we're also working on that, and we'll do life cycle assessments on all our products, and we'll hopefully come climate neutral for that as well. And we also founded a Organic Farmers Association 3 years ago. So we're helping more than 500 small farmers in India at the moment to convert from conventional cotton to sustainable cotton. And yeah, we provide them with GMO-free seeds. We pay a bit premium during those converting transition time. And we offer trainings with our partner in India, Sumenta, and yeah, hopefully they will become certified this year, because the transition period is 3 years. So we will reach that hopefully this year. And yeah, that's, I think, the main parts of our work at the moment.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Yeah, so we will probably go into more details about everyone's, like in the during the question and answer and the open discussion. So now maybe if Primitif Clothing wants to have the word now.
Sure. Just one second. Can you hear me? Because I had some.
It's a bit quiet, but yeah, we can hear you.
Wait, I put my microphone a little bit closer. So, hi everyone. My name is Annie. I'm working as a designer and product manager at Primitif Clothing. We are based in Helmbrechts. It's in the north of Bavaria in Germany, where it's right now super snowy. We're an independent, sustainable, fair and vegan fashion label. We're always trying to combine sports and streetwear as good as possible to create timeless clothing out of interesting materials, which can be worn for almost every occasion. Our materials are mainly natural or natural based, such as organic cotton, as you already mentioned, but also hemp, linen, and cork is part of our range. We are also working on a few performance sports styles with synthetics with recycled polyester. If possible, we also don't mix synthetic fibers, so we can keep the biodegradable process and the recyclable process possible. Our company is GOT certified and climate neutral, which means we are analyzing our carbon footprint, such as electricity, heating, and car rates of our employees, with Climate Partner to compensate it by donating to a climate protection project in Kenya. But we also have a few products and styles also climate compensate. We always try to inspire people to a sustainable but fun lifestyle where nothing and no one has to plead for our clothes, which also the name is coming from. We also think to change the fashion industry, it needs lots of people, companies, and organizations working together and inspiring each other. So I'm super excited about today's talk and appreciate the work which all of you guys are doing. I think in the brief there was also stating like we should tell one problem we're currently facing. Of course, except for the inconsistency of our supply chain due to the virus, as probably all of us are facing it right now. It's, for example, to build a stable supply chain completely based in Germany. We already have one product, our Franconian denim, but we still want to improve on that one.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Does Iron Roots want to go next, Eric?
Yeah, sure thing. Good being here. Nice to meet everyone. I'm Eric. I'm one of the co-founders of Iron Roots. We started with the idea about 4 years ago, and we came to the idea from our own problems. So I was talking with two of my sporting friends, which I started a company with, about how it was weird that we could only work out in basically plastic clothing. I did track and field for a long time, and I had to throw away a lot of my t-shirts after wearing them for a few months because the smell would just stick in them and they were not nice to wear anymore. So from our own problem of just being able to use plastics in sportswear, we decided that there should be a good alternative to that. Back then, we really couldn't find any good alternative brands doing something in that direction. So we decided to take the challenge up ourselves. So basically what we do, we create microplastic-free sportswear. So we use high-performance materials and use state-of-the-art technology to create sportswear that's performance-wise up there with all the synthetic materials, because that's why most companies use synthetics, because performance-wise they're pretty good. But you don't have any negative consequences of the microplastics and of using fossil-based materials. So yeah, we use materials like hemp, eucalyptus, beechwood, organic cotton as well, to create sportswear from. So that's in a nutshell what we do. Yeah, I think that's the main thing that I wanted to tell. I guess there's like a ton of stories to tell, but I guess that'll come later if the other topics are discussed. So thank you for this introduction.
Thank you. Do you want to carry next with Wonda swim? So I think you're muted for now. Yeah. So can you hear us with Wonda? Do you want to carry on next?
Sorry, I was just kicked out from my internet connection. Sorry, I didn't realize that you were speaking to me. Anyways, thanks for having me here. I'm Teresa. I'm the co-founder of Wonda Swim, and I'm really excited to be here and to get to know you. We are quite at the beginning still of our journey. We founded Wonda 2 years ago. And we started off in Lisbon, in Portugal, and now we moved to Hamburg. We have our office here now, as well as storage. But we're still producing down there in Lisbon. We started off with sustainable swimwear made from recycled ocean and landfill plastic. Most of you might know Econile. It's made from Econile. And this last December, we started to also launch a sportswear collection. And for that, we use different materials, but mainly a bio-based plastic from the Rizinuspflanze. I just forgot the word in English. Castor bean plant. Yeah, it was that. And yeah, besides the materials, we have different missions that leads our consumers and customers to a more sustainable way, but we are not only focusing on sustainability. This is something that we believe is essential for a fashion brand in the future. So our approach is more on providing a high quality, for being a high quality fashion brand. And we have not only the mission to throw out there very great high quality products, but we also focus a lot on building an organization that is supposed to be a role model for being powered by a change, being powered by people and by purpose. That's something that we particularly want to enforce, is that we can have a company, an organization that is on the one hand following a purpose, and on the other hand being able to follow a profit approach. And that is in a nutshell what we are focusing on. Mainly our products are for now swimwear and sportswear, and we want to keep that functional part of it as well. We don't want to start doing fashionable products. Our focus is always on clear and timeless and clean designs. and for other products that are supposed to more express yourself. There we are encouraging our consumers, or consumers out there, not only our customers, to upcycle, recycle, and reuse, for example. Yeah, that's it from my side. I guess we're going more into depth later.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you. Mathieu from Primitif, do you want to go next?
Yes. Hello.
Up,
I did a little PowerPoint that I can share with you.
I might just need to. Can you present it, or do you need me to?
Not
give the rights.
Nope. You unactivated the
Okay. Yeah.
sharing screen,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it should be good now.
I can go. Ideal. ThokkThokk. You can see me?
Yes.
Yes, you can see my screen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we are Primitif, French 100% recycled streetwear brand. We are happy to be here tonight. And the fashion issues have decided us to start this brand and this enterprise initiative. We all know here the social issues, working conditions, workers' health, and all the problems due to cotton industry. And we wanted to fight this at our scale and with our culture. So we wanted to fight also environmental issues of textile industry, improve our carbon footprint, fight against river pollution and ground destruction, the overuse of water for a t-shirt, for example, but for all our clothes. Our values, it's to be a recycled brand. It's to produce in France, in France, in a local scale, and to produce streetwear clothes. So we are using an innovative process, which is the recycling process. We are recycling our fibers in Spain, and it's permitting us to make huge economies of water for making our clothes, t-shirts, for example, 50 liters, rather 2,700 liters for a standard t-shirt. So we are in a local scale manufacture. It's in French. The recycled fiber is made in Spain, and then all our supply chain is in France. You can see here on the map, and then the important thing to remember, I think, it's that our t-shirt made 2,000 kilometers, and a classic t-shirt it's a statistic from Zara, 60,000 kilometers for a t-shirt made with a Zara supply chain. So we are doing our best. It's our first products. The hoodies are produced, but the t-shirt and the socks are yet to come. Then join us. We are Primitif, and we are happy to be a part of ethic fashion and sustainable fashion, and to be here tonight to discuss about that with you. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Perfect. Then Oderso.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for the invitation and the initiative to host such an event. I'm Jonathan from Oderso and Global Tactics, which is the production company behind Oderso. I work in the areas of sustainability management and production development. A few words about Global Tactics. We are a textile manufacturer for fair and eco-friendly textiles and produce exclusively in our production sites in the north of Portugal and Serbia. Yes, we produce and develop collections and merchandise for artists, musicians, private labels, and organizations, as well as workwear and sportswear, and what else the textile market has to offer. I think, as I said, the most famous brands Oderso, with Finn Kliman, with whom we have been working since the very beginning. Yes, one of our most important principles is to meet our requirements for sustainable and responsible business practices, is that we are in direct and personal exchange with our producers. So we visit them every year and have weekly personal exchanges, so we can ensure social standards and guarantee fair working conditions and eco-friendly processes. This is also why we most of our supply chain, from weaving the fabric to dyeing, washing, printing, and finishing, is located in Portugal. Yes, regarding the materials, we already heard about the negative effects on the environment and farmers with the cultivation of the raw materials, such as conventional cotton. That's why we are increasingly using organic cotton and recycled fibers, but also materials like viscose fibers that are made from renewable sources of wood. In addition, we want to try new ways of using materials. For example, in the last collection for Oderso with Finn Kliman, we put together leftover fabrics from different weaving mills. And depending on the amount of the fabric, we produced limited quantities of shirts of these fabrics. I think this shows another point of our work. So we want to break new ground in the textile industry and tell a story about our clothes, so that they have the highest possible value for our customers and are worn for a long time, because we think customers should know what's in their clothes and what's behind the production. This also includes the packaging. So we are just using recycled or biodegradable packaging solutions. In addition to these, we are working on using seals to show the added value of our ecological and fairly produced products for the consumers, such as goods. And of course, we are also facing with ecological problems. One problem we are currently facing with is how we can incorporate more circularity in our production, so that as little as possible of resources are used for our production of clothes. So I think that's it for now.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Rifo Lab, do you want to go next?
Sure.
Yeah, perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicola. I'm from Prato, nearby Florence. And I'm the co-founder of Rifò. Rifò was born 2 years ago in Prato, because actually in Prato they've been recycling textile fibers for more than 100 years. There are these craftsmen called ragmen that they do this job, and it's well, it's our tradition, our heritage. Our idea was to take back this tradition to create a sustainable brand with a circular process. So actually we collect old cashmere and old wool garments directly from the people and from businesses that work in Italy. We shred the fiber, we make yarn, and then the yarn we use for our own collections. Our entire production is held here in Prato. So our products are sustainable because they're made with recycled fibers, and most of the time we don't over dye. So we sort by colors, so we don't need to dye it again. And we produce only with local suppliers, and it's an ethical process because actually we are always with them, and we can say that they are still part of the Rifo team. And so our idea was to take back this tradition to create a circular, sustainable model within the fashion industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe then Pyua, sorry if I pronounce it.
Hey, I'm Dani. I'm from Pyua. Everyone pronounces it differently. So if you hear a funny sport brand with P, it's probably us. I'm the CSR manager for the brand since a month now. So I'm kind of nervous. It's my first official meeting where I join in, but I'm really honored, and thanks to you that you're organizing it. On the other hand, I'm the sales manager for Austria. So I have two really parts which are normally not coming together. And we, Pyua, have been founded 2008. We are a German brand, and we always had the technical part of the cradle-to-cradle strategy in our mind. So from the beginning, so we've been thinking, we've seen this problem of plastic waste, and then it was the question, what can you do with it? And the founder found out that you can go into a recycled, in the cradle-to-cradle process. So this thought we had since the beginning in mind. Then we became technical because we have seen what is missing. It's also high functional wear, where we are based on. So we have now really also waterproof with jackets, with membrane. We have second layers, and we have T-shirts and hoodies, and also got certified into German-produced beanies and hats in our collection. But we've known, and Pyua, the life of Pyua wasn't so easy. But we know that the fashion part is really important. So it has to be fashionable still. And now we really are trying to create a package of this all. And our goal is to kind of create that one jacket you can use for everything. Because we believe that less is more, and we still have a layering system. So we are based on the onion principle. So you're combining your clothes as good as possible together. And as I said, the way we came from is that all of our material is already 100% recycled, and that you can recycle it again. Then after we introduced got certified merino wool, and with a German factory, we have just a few factories where we're working with. We are a member of the Fair Wear Foundation also since quite a few years. And we are working with the auto sports industry, also with other certificates which guarantee us that we can ensure that we don't have harmful chemicals in our clothing. So we are just using products which are Blue Sign approved and which feel the REACH standards. So we really carefully choose, and we really know from our products how much is post-consumer recycled polyester, how much is recycled polyester, which maybe cannot. So we are really trying to create this one product you can get back to the loop with. Therefore, we are partnered up since this year with the Wear-to-Wear company founded by Sympatex. So it's really that we believe that all of the industry has to come together, from the linear production cycles, from take, make, waste. It has to go into a circular loop, because we're living on a plastic planet. We're using 2.8 Earths each year, and we truly believe we need solutions. And so we are focusing really on this part, how we can get back the material back into the cycle. So one thing is for sure the best product, and there are still challenges facing us. For example, a cradle-to-cradle library for material that you can easily say, okay, this or this or this. So still zippers are not 100% recyclable, so we still have to cut them out. But we are always in contact with the leaders of the industry, that we use as best as possible the materials. And so we are carefully thinking our collection, and Pyua will have a next step. We will launch it as the ISPO. So the big bang will come at the ISPO, because in the history, we are going now to a rebranding process. So we have gone, and we will really try to be better than we have been, and that we try to be as good as we can be. And to do this also in a holistic way. So we launched internally now the CSR team. So every company, like our team, sales and production, has their CSR, like the sustainable person who is responsible, and we try to also make the decisions together to lead us in the right way. But right now we are facing a time where everything is a little bit falling apart, and we think also it's our fault, and we have to even think new. So it's also about the post-COVID strategies we are going to. And Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they just said in their post-COVID strategies that investing in rental and resale is one of the biggest things which should bother us. And this is what we believe too. So what I wanted to bring into this, and what I've been talking with my team, this is how to discuss how we maybe together can set up resale and rental structures in clothing as well. So even take it from the product cycle, because you also said a lot of clothes didn't get used. So we have to think, what are we doing with this? I think it's like, if you buy five pieces, 2 pieces you use, 3 pieces you don't. So maybe also think what you can do with this. And for technical wear, it's even more harder because of washing and the standards what you have to waterproofness. So there's a lot of questions coming up, and this is what we will think of in the next years. Yeah, I hope I could sum it up a little bit, and thank you for everything.
Thanks a lot. It's really interesting to have all your opinion and see where you're going. So just let me check if I didn't forget. Yeah. So Verena, do you want to carry on?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me tonight. And it's so good to see you guys and to get to know each other. I think it's super important to get to know the people in the slow fashion. And I'm basically here for the brands Lovejoi and ThokkThokk. And latest, we onboarded another brand, which is a shoe brand from Barcelona. It's called Rifò. And I am actually, I don't want to talk so much about products, because I think we heard a lot, and I totally agree with all of your philosophies. And I think everyone here tries to have the best and most sustainable and most social product. Our approach is more or less the same as Bleed and as Armed Angels. So we are contemporary fashion brand that tries to have like fashionable collections. What I actually face right now as a problem, when I onboarded the Rifò shoes, I saw that there's a huge problem when we talk about if we want to have a shoe, let's just take this as a product, but it's about every product. But let's take the shoe because it has many components. You need to decide if you want to go for a natural composition, a recycled composition, or a recyclable. I think every one of us would like to have the 100% circularity. But if you have a product with so many components, like you have, like, for example, in the pure products, they are really high technology, or in a shoe, as soon as you have more than cotton, you need to consider the circularity and the approach if you want to go for more natural or for more recycled components. And I think this is one of the problems that we have to, work on the next years. Then the second thing, what I am actually working on, and what is kind of my heart of project from the bottom of my heart. When I started, I was the founder of Lovejoi, by the way, and when I started 2014, I was kind of, I didn't start to just produce fashion or to make it better or to make it greener. I wanted to change the supply chain, but also the circle in terms of retail and second life cycle. So what I'm talking about is that we still have a problem. We have the same problem in the slow fashion that we have in the fast fashion right now. If you want to be competitive with the fast fashion, you need to act like the fast fashion in everything but the product. Means we have green products, but we are behaving like fast fashion brands. We have overproduction, we have mass consumption, we have we have sales right in the season. And I don't want to blame anyone here, but I saw it already in slow fashion as well. So I see fashion brands and even my own brands are going in sales too. So I think we need to change the whole supply chain and the whole industry to get to a more sustainable fashion fashion circle, fashion whatever. So what I am working on is made to measure. So let's produce less, but fitting more to the consumers. Let's produce more on demand. I already have one production from Lovejoi, which is here in Germany in our headquarters, where I have already the possibility to do the on-demand thing. But of course, this is not working for the whole fashion industry, right? So we need to give AI-based machine learning solution and new technologies, so-called microfactories that are more regional, more close to the brands, more close to the customers. So we need to really overthink the whole industry and not just the product. The product is a very raw start, and I don't. It's what we have to sell to the customer, and what it has already a huge impact on the environment to use better materials. But let's be honest to ourselves. If we grow and grow and grow, and then we are all in a game phase. The future, fashion and second-hand fashion is the future. It's the most growing market right now. But it's not a solution. We need to talk about the real solutions, and we need to talk about the real solution to change the industry, and not just to do the same, just in green. So that's why I'm here, and what I would like to talk about with you.
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect transition because is it just me being lagging a bit, or now can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I think that's the perfect transition, because you really also highlighted that other than just like the product by itself, and even so like product is already like most part of it, there's also all the surroundings of it, and this is also some problem that is really hard to face like individually, like a brand on its own, because it requires so much knowledge, energy, time, investment, etc. that if we want really to face and to have some massive changes in a short period of time, this is really only through collaborations among like brands that share these values, that everyone will be able just to make further steps into those sustainable practices that will not only take into account the product itself, but the whole supply chain all over. So what I will do now is like, first of all, so let's the words to Fabian, which should take the lead for the second part, and then we will go to the open discussion. On this one, so maybe like Fabian, you can also watch for the Mint ranking, just to be, so we can know which topics we're going to talk about. And I'm pretty sure that we will be able to, among like between those topics, just to talk again about all of those, all of what you just said. And this way it could be also another approach.
Yes, so I would also like to welcome you very much. A very warm welcome from my side. And I'm glad that everybody made it. And also to our YouTube audience, I would like to welcome you and would like to lead over to the discussion. I mean, all of you brought up pretty good points already. Some of you even mentioned a problem that you're facing at the moment, and some didn't yet, but we will talk about that now in the discussion. And as you maybe saw, I put up a small survey on menti.com where our audience could decide what we should, and also you can decide what topics we should talk about it, because to cover the whole value chain or to cover a lot of topics, we're lacking the time for that. And at the moment, I see that 17 participants are already voted, and it's a close race between raw materials, awareness, and recycling. And at the moment, the first is raw materials and production, which was kind of to expected, because it's about the products and it's about the production of those products, which has the biggest impact on greenhouse gas emissions. So some questions are coming from the audience. I will try to weave them in. And I would like to start with a question that we thought about, would be maybe a good starter, and just which concerns sustainable materials. What sustainable materials are you using the most currently, and what do you think is the most versatile sustainable material? I saw that nearly all of you are using organic cotton, as well as tencel, which seems to be quite popular at the moment. And maybe you could just give your opinion whether tencel and organic cottons are the best materials at the moment, or if you think other materials are also super versatile. So if you want, one of you can just go ahead and tell your opinion on that.
Yeah, well, I think I can say something about tencel, which we also use, and we use the tencel material from Lenzing in Austria, and I know that they have a closed loop system already. So they also use the wastewater again, and yeah, it's a whole closed loop. So I think they are pretty good, or maybe the best at the moment on the market. So yeah, it's very sustainable material.
I think it also depends a lot on the supplier or the producer that you have for organic cotton. I think organic cotton is not the same as organic cotton. As Katarina was saying, there are companies that are already having a closed loop, but then you have to know that organic doesn't necessarily mean that it's a circular system. So I guess you really have to be careful. I guess transparency is the key there. So if you really know where the cotton is coming from, if you know the company or basically the company that's producing the cotton and the area and the people who are actually growing the cotton, then you can speak about a sustainable model. But without this transparency, even sustainable cotton is not always sustainable. Although there are of course some organic cotton suppliers that are great, like the one Lansing that you were mentioning, Kati.
Yes, and maybe to add to that, I think there was a big fraud from organic cotton in December last year from GOTS. There were 20,000 tons of organic cotton which weren't really organic cotton, and I think that's also a problem that you can't make sure, because of the complex supply chain, if it's really organic cotton. And I think it's essential that you know your partners, and that's why we also focus on transparency and to know our partners and where the cotton comes from, and that we can guarantee that it's really organic.
This may be interesting for the audience. Do you all know where your cotton comes from, and is it kind of easy to really track down the cotton where it was produced? And that would maybe be an insight for the audience. Is it easy to find out, or is it hard?
Maybe I go for this answer. It's quite easy because usually the producers know where the raw materials come from. And we try to have always the less distance between the field and the manufacturer. So if we have, for example, denim made in Turkey, the cotton also is cultivated in Turkey. But we have also production for ThokkThokk, for example, which are in India. So the cotton is grown in India. So that's how we do it.
Then I add on to cotton. I mean, what you also have to consider is the usage of water. So people say that there is not a sustainable cotton at all because you need so much water and time to cultivate it. I mean, it's just a few what people also think of. And when we are facing some natural hazards, which, for example, was 2010. There was the big floods in the cotton district. Maybe there is not even enough cotton for the market. So a lot of people change back to other materials. Wherefore, especially tencel, I also think this is one of the most sustainable fabrics. And I can, the best one I personally love is from Wolford, the cradle to cradle version of it. So they even have a biodegradable tencel already. Which they intend, and Wolford has the strategy that 2022 they will have all their base layers cradle to cradle, and it's really with the Brown Guard certificate. So maybe on tencel and every tencel which I used, I think this is a great option. They are from Lansing, Austria. I've been, it's really as they are the whole Austrian factory is in a closed loop, but not the factories abroad. So this may be my input to those two fabrics, although we don't use them. So we believe in, well, like what we think, one thing, what is the most fastest growing raw material, and it's the plastic. So we all, and also if you look at studies like polyester is like just a study that it's growing. So we have to think of this as well. And you also have maybe a way less carbon, like a carbon footprint of polyester is way smaller, for example, the raw materials. So it's not easy at all to decide what is what. And even though I'm like in fashion or in clothing since 15 years, I sometimes have no plan at all. And it's hard right now for the consumer to get a glance on whom we can trust. So it's really, I think we have to all question ourselves to how we can communicate this thing and how we can be as industry as good as possible, but how easy, like there are labels, and everyone is something, but it's not at all like good for the consumer.
Yeah, the labels is a good point, I think. There's this GOTS label, which some of you mentioned. I heard that Global Tactics are adhering to the GOTS label. What else? What other labels are you adhering to, or do you all think that the GOTS label is kind of a good label? From my research, at least, I saw that the GOTS label is looking at the different production steps at the cotton farming, for example, at the coloring and at through the different steps of the value chain? Or do you think there are better labels? Or do you think maybe labels are overrated and you should do your transparency yourself?
Well, I think the GOTS label is quite good because it looks on the social and ecological supply chain. So yeah, it starts from the weaving process of the fabric to dyeing, washing, and finishing. So I think the GOTS seal is one of the best standards right now in the textile industry. But there are also a few others which are quite good.
Okay.
Yeah,
do the others agree?
Yeah, I mean, we for example, we're also working mainly with GOTS because it's also the easiest way to work, as you don't have to trace down everything by yourself. So somebody is doing it for you, which is a lot of work, which you don't have to do. But I think also it's still difficult for the consumer to see what certification is good and which certification is for what, like the fair trade certification and social aspects and everything. And what we also have to keep in mind is that not everybody can buy a GOTS certification. It also costs money. So for example, we also have some small manufacturers in Portugal who are just not able to pay as much of money for it. So you still have, as a consumer, I think you still have to be very critical about where you're buying, and asking is always the best option, I would say. But yeah,
I totally agree. Actually, this part of money is a very crucial one. I think GOTS is also the kind of cheapest certificate. That's why a lot of people go with it. But still, for the consumer, it's difficult to understand what does it actually mean, because sometimes products are GOTS certified, which doesn't mean that the whole factory, like all other products, might be GOTS certified. If, for example, like you were saying, Annika, that one other small company in Portugal, like ours, for example, it doesn't have the capacity or the financial capacity to afford a seal like this. You can still like have a good product, a sustainable product, but you wouldn't know. And that's why I believe that full transparency on materials, for example, on your own effort is the easiest also for the consumer to understand what you are actually doing, and to make to give them the chance to make themselves a picture of what you're doing. And we are also, for example, whenever we use a material that has downsides as well, because every material has some downsides, like you were saying with cotton, that it consumes a lot of water. This is something that should also be published. This is part of transparency. And in the end, the consumer has to decide. Of course, it's not easy for the consumer to always track down on everything that you wear when there's so many up and downsides, but still, at least you have the chance, if you're really interested in knowing where your product is coming from, making yourself a picture, to just be open about it. And I think that's more valuable than a certificate.
All right, interesting standpoint as well. We have a question regarding the GOTS certificate from the audience, from Nika. She asks, if a GOTS certificate is available for all clothing materials. So I think you were talking mostly about cotton, or a question to Iron Roots or Pleat who use hemp or Rifo. Is GOTS also certifying such materials, or do you do it yourself?
Yeah, I'll go right ahead if you'd like to.
No, go for it.
Yeah, with hemp, it's an interesting case because hemp in general doesn't need any pesticides or insecticides to grow. That's been known for quite some time. So usually it's not really worth it for farmers to spray their fields anyways. So there's no current global standard for hemp, also because it's such a small percentage of the total textile production that there is. Even if there was a label, we'd be very careful to use it or not. There have been numerous cases where people go with a certain label and then in the end it turns out to be not as great as they thought. Lately, for example, the BCI, Better Cotton Initiative label has been under some scrutiny because all of a sudden they've put on their website that they've never claimed that it's sustainable what they're doing, or that the cotton that they're labeling BCI is not actually sustainable. So I think that even if there were labels in regards to hemp, I think in line with earlier points, it's more important to knowing where your products are coming from, where the raw materials being grown, and trying to get as close to the farmers as possible, and yeah, find out that way if they're producing it in a good way or not. So I would say that hemp, it hasn't been talked about, I think, tonight, but if it could be, I guess I hope that hemp will be the most used fiber in the future. It has its limits in applications right now, mainly because it can only be made in a mechanical way currently, or there's only done in a mechanical way. But it might be happening in the near future that we get hemp lyocell as well. And then hemp will be, I think, the fiber to go to fill in the gap of, not necessarily the gap, but fill in the need of new textiles that's currently being filled by polyester and other synthetic materials. So that's my 2 cents on raw materials and labels.
Sounds very promising, this hemp. One more question, Eric. Where does your hemp come from? Which are you are using? Where is it growing?
Yeah, we would rather have it to be in the Netherlands, but we have a very limited capacity of hemp being grown over here. Currently, we get all our hemp from Turkey, and it's also being spun and mechanically produced over there. The limitations with hemp are mainly that it's very difficult to get good quality fibers out of it that can be used in nice textiles, in jersey textiles, for example. And in Europe, there are very limited technical facilities that can do that. So mainly, if you look at hemp fabrics, they usually come from China, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, there are some companies that are really doing their best in China and are actually producing hemp in a good way. But getting it local is very difficult, and we're lucky that we have found a partner in Turkey that we work with that also has been working with farmers there to grow the hemp.
All right. Do you visit them yourselves to ensure the transparency?
Oh, there we go. Well, actually, the factory in Turkey and the producer in Turkey, we've only done on Skype calls, mainly because we've only been working with them, a bit less than a year. So with COVID, it was pretty difficult to travel over there. But the factories that we work with in Portugal and Greece, we visited regularly before and have a good relationship with as well. So if we cannot visit a certain place, we try to contact them otherwise, and try to find out that way if they're real and true about what they're doing.
All right, thank you very much. I think we should quickly also talk about wool. Rifo, you're using wool from Italy, and I heard that you're collecting it basically from the people.
Yes, actually, we only use recycled wool. So in our case, the only certification that we use is Global Recycling Standard. And in addition, for us, it's really important to have life cycle assessments. to effectively prove that a recycled product has lower impact than a virgin product. And I think also that we should show our limits. Actually, what was previously said, it's right. So actually, we should show every limit of the material we use and every advantage. And at the same time, I think the best certification is to open up our factories, to let our customers visit them, to effectively see how we work, which are our suppliers, why we choose them, and actually the story that there is behind their activities, because our products are not made only by machines, are made by humans. So it's important to give customers the possibility to know the stories behind and to effectively evaluate if it's a process is ethical or not.
All right. Thank you. One question to the factories, maybe. Since you want to be sustainable, do your factories use renewable energies to produce, to power your machines? Do you have any knowledge about that, or do you just go to your, do you just look over the quality of your garments, or do you also check out the factories and see if how they are run actually?
Well, actually, Prato, there is a river crossing it, and most of the factories use its power, and especially because there were many dying factories. And in our case, we always look also at the efficiency part. So most of our suppliers have renewable energy platforms.
Wow, that's really awesome. Do the others have any knowledge about your factories, if they're producing with renewables or not?
Yeah, so as far as I know, some of our suppliers are producing with renewables, but most of them are using the local energy mix of the country. So I think that's also a big limit to change to renewables, because you have the local regulations, and sometimes it's difficult to change that.
All right. Anyone else?
We know that our factory doesn't use renewable energies, but they are still in a process of growing together with us, which leads us also to the point that Verena was already pointing out. Growing and scaling up gives like a lot of downsides in specifically in regards to sustainability, but it also gives a lot of chances to make it better in some senses. And as soon as we grow into the point that we can afford, or we can basically change that by changing location of the factory, this would be something that is obviously on the list, like any other part that counts for efficiency and in energy and water, for example. But right now it's not possible for us yet. But we are aware, and I think that's the most important point for now for us.
Yes. Yeah, nice. I want to talk one more thing. Nicolo was mentioning lifecycle analysis. How do you do that lifecycle analysis? Do you have, what process are you following there? Do you have somebody doing that for you?
In our case, we collaborate with a university,
okay,
and they do the test for us, and then they do the comparison made with a research, with a database that there is available. Okay. For like the comparison between, they study the recycled materials impact, and then they follow on a database to understand what are the 7% compared to a virgin process.
That sounds very good, and I think if anyone else wants to do that or is planning to do that in your company, maybe you could give him a startup help, maybe.
Well, I think it's not easy. You need the support of your suppliers. In our case, we had suppliers that were available to follow our recommendations, and they did it. But it's expensive, and most of the time there are many suppliers of it, and not all of them are reliable. So you need to look carefully to select the right one, because otherwise it's only communication material.
Yes. Did anybody else conducted a life cycle analysis in their company yet?
Yes, we did. We did it with Climate Partner, and we did it for our company and also for 5 products. And we will expand that. But they are also working with a database. I think it's always the same database all the agencies or companies have. And yeah, we recognize there are some lacks of data where we are much better, but they have like the cases from the database. Like for example, for cutting waste, they have percentage for jersey, for I don't know, for denim, for all the different products, and we have much less cutting waste than they were expecting. So I think it's always like individual.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the life cycle analysis is especially important for bigger companies as well. So, or like just a few. So we are starting to look at it. I mean, we just the company is now in the hands we are in since 2 years, and we try to have a look, and we will have also with Climate Partner and talks, but the bigger goals which are coming from the SDGs and what you put down for the life cycle analysis, I think. Or the CO2 goals sometimes, it's also a little bit dependent on the scale of the company. So we know that, for example, for our fabrics, the new fabric we are using is climate neutral, but everything else we are still in the process as well. For example, it's like we look at it, we know now we don't have a setup now, but we will from start now we will really have truly consider to do one, for example, and start as well.
All right. Thank you very much about talking about production. Now I would like to lead over to another important topic, which is the second in our ranking list, which is the awareness, how to create more awareness for sustainable fashion. And I would just like to ask you, what do you think is the most effective way for you currently to reach customers, to reach people? How do you do that?
I mean, for us, for example, it's super important to have TV and radio access, because we realize that a lot of people who don't even know about sustainability, they are watching these kind of formats. So that's when we also get the feedback in our store. Like a lot of people are coming in like, oh, we didn't know there is such thing as sustainability in Helmbrechts or whatever. So I think that's a big part of us sharing awareness. But also, of course, I mean, Instagram is a thing where we are trying to put out a lot of positive content. But yeah, it's also difficult, of course, for us companies to connect to our customers, of course, to our customers, but to new customers, it's I think a little difficult.
Yeah, I think that's one of our main issues that we are facing right now, is to get attention and awareness for our brand, but also to bring awareness to sustainability topics, fast fashion issues, for example, especially now with COVID, that every brand is all the big brands are going online, and all the platforms or the channels that we used to use, they're not as effective anymore as they've been before the crisis. So it's really difficult for us to reach people. We get much less likes, for example, on Instagram, especially for topics that raise awareness for sustainability topics. But we have figured out that the only way to go is to be really persistent. The more people hear about something, the better it reaches their mind and the more it sticks. So we just decided that we're not giving up on raising awareness for those topics. We just continue pushing and annoying people and somehow, but that's the only way that we figured to really reach the people and effectively reach the people.
I think one very important point is as well the sales channels, and I think Armed Angels did a very good job in former times because they were able to have access to the huge stores in Germany and also in the bigger online platforms. And for a long time, I must say, I was a really militant ecological believer. So I thought the only way I want to see my brand in stores is in only 100% eco-concept stores. So I just want to work with people that are fully behind the brand and fully behind the philosophy. But I figured out that this is the wrong way, because if you want to reach, if you reach customers in eco-fair concept stores, you reach only the customers that are already thinking ecologically. And what was my main goal when I started Lovejoi was to reach out to people that want to wear beautiful fashion, just beautiful fashion that is ecologically and fair made on top. But on the first place, I want people to buy my brand because they like the style. And this I don't only find in the eco concept stores in Europe. So I needed to go forward with partners like, let's say, About You, huge stores like Bräuninger in Baden-Württemberg. Like fashion retail that is made for and from fast fashion, and that is now changing their minds. And I think this is also a point that is that should be supported by the eco fashion brands, because we are the change, and we cannot change the industry if we don't go forward and give them a chance to change themselves and to go for more sustainability.
Yeah, still I believe that awareness, that we can have a much bigger impact when we change the perception of the consumer. I think the consumer here has the highest impact or the highest power to change the industry, because then the big companies have no other chance to change and to follow more sustainable approaches. So informing the consumer about what does sustainability mean? How can we bring more personality to fashion again? How can we make it less unpersonal? I think that's our biggest tool that we have right now. And yeah, for me, that's right now a very difficult topic. Although you're right, Verena, the sales channels, that's something that we figured out as well, is something that that is a chance for us as well to use them. We were exactly the same like you in the beginning. We started only with small boutiques, but our reach was so little. And now we're approaching bigger marketplaces as well. And that makes already a change. But without the awareness of everyone that's buying our products, what it actually stands for, what our brand stands for, we haven't won so much, because then they go to the next H&M and go for fast fashion product again. So yeah, I don't know, maybe you have a great idea on how to raise awareness for that topics better, or to have I don't know, other channels that I'm not aware of yet to really yeah, follow up.
Yeah, maybe I just add something, because you mentioned H&M, and that's actually the reason why I'm here tonight, and the reason why I had like several meetings in the past few weeks, also with the big players like H&M, like Tchibo, like I don't know, whoever, and Adidas was there too. They are all facing the same problem. They know that they cannot continue like this. They know that they have to find a solution, and they don't know how. They don't know how to turn their course, and they are asking for help. And yeah, I think this is one point that you can do to have more awareness, to talk to those ones that have that big impact and to change their minds or to help them to find a way to more sustainability. Because I think this is why we all do what we do and love what we do. We're not just here to kill what is already on the market. We are here to find a global change, and every one of us would be happy if the big companies also find a way to reduce their impact on the environment.
I think this is also a good point. I mean, this was a development during COVID now that all the big companies are trying to think more sustainable as well. And maybe you have the knowledge as smaller companies how to do sustainable fashion, and you should really talk to the big ones because they have the reach, they have the network, and then they can maybe also help you, give you a platform for blog articles, or I don't know, for even selling your products via their distribution channels. Maybe this would be an option because
but one thing about that, of course, we have all of us, I'm pretty sure, a good knowledge about sustainable fashion, but they have people who have the same knowledge as us. They already have the CSR people in their companies who know exactly that. But the biggest problem is that by being big, you can't be sustainable. And of course, they don't want to step down. They don't want to, there are some fashion brands who are actually doing that. They are stepping down and decreasing the volume, the quantities that they are producing and focusing more on quality. But that's basically the only way they can become sustainable. And that's nothing they want to do. So when the consumer decides to not buy those products anymore, those non-high quality products, that's the only way we can basically drive the industries, in my opinion.
Okay, and how do you see it for yourself? I mean, if you would grow now a lot in the next years, do you think it's possible to stay truly sustainable? Would you get enough materials? Or do you already see
we
that?
Definitely would get enough materials. I don't think that's the problem. The problem would rather be, I think we can't grow as much as you were describing it now. That's something that we are currently facing, an issue that we are not able to overcome right now. We stopped increasing our product range right now because we don't know right now, we haven't found a solution yet to grow sustainably. And that's why we're not continuing. We only want to continue growing when we find a solution on doing this most sustainable. And we haven't figured out a proper way yet. We can't grow with our own. We have a single production firm in Portugal that we're working with right now. And we definitely can find other production companies, but growing, scaling in a way that fashion companies like, I don't know, for example, Zara grew in the past, that's impossible. And that's nothing that we are aiming for. But of course, we will grow a little bit. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm hoping that, but it will not be the same. It will not be as steep as for conventional fashion companies. And there will be a limit for sure.
Okay, that's an interesting view. Maybe how are the others looking at that? What is your goal? Are you all trying to grow fast, or do you really want to make sure that you stay sustainable, or are you even happy with the things that you are selling at the moment?
Could I ask a question to the Angels? Because I think how to grow sustainable, they are really one of the first mover with 202,000 follower, or like a lot. And I think we all know that you did a really good job, and I think you can inspire us on this one.
I can try, but as I mentioned before, I'm not that long part of Angels. So my colleagues should give you more insights on that, and also from the marketing or e-com or wholesale department. But what I know is that we also reached out to the big B2B customers like Bräuninger and stuff. We have like a lot of shop-in-shop systems installed last year, and will continued this year. So I think that's a big part of it. And yeah, I think it's difficult for me to know all the parts, which made us grow. But also, I think it's very important that you have stable partnerships, that you have partners which you can grow with, because like the last year, I mean, it was difficult for everybody, and all the big companies canceled their orders, and people lost their jobs, and that was horrible what was going on. And we were, for us, it was very important not to cancel any orders, and we could grow last year. So it was possible. We were changing our production to masks, which you might know, and we were we were doing our job. We were still working with our partners and hearing what problems they are facing and trying to help. So I think that's also a big part. It's not only always the climate part. I know it's important, and it's the focus of this event. But I think it's also very, very important to focus on the partners and the working conditions and everything.
Can I also ask something?
Yeah, sure. I try to answer.
Do you know if you're profitable? That's something I think when you grow with money, of course, in your back, then you can ensure that you're sustainable. That is for sure. But can you, do you have a profitable model?
Yes, we do. I actually don't know if I can talk about it, but we had a we had a growth of 25% last year from 2019 to 2020. So yeah, and it's profitable. Yeah, and we try to invest the money and also try to help NGOs and other organizations with the profit. Yeah.
All right, just hang in here. We are already a bit over 19:30. If it's okay for you, we could do 10 more minutes to talk about one more topic, which would be recycling. I would like to know, or if you all have to go now, we have to stop. But if that's okay for you, we could talk a bit about recycling as well. Just give me a small. Okay. I would like to ask, how do you handle the returns? Do you offer customers to give back old products to you and you recycle them for them or even reuse them? Or do most of you do not that's such a thing yet? Or do you even put deposit on your products?
So we started last year with a take-back system, and we started with t-shirts, and we also started with only Armed Angels t-shirts to collect from our customers. And that's the first step, but we will extend it to denims and the whole product line, hopefully. And we'll also use other waste, not only Armed Angels waste, but at the moment we can only make sure that there are no chemicals which are hazardous, and that's at the moment the only way for us. But I would like to hear what the others are doing.
Yeah, we do also offer our customers to send back the items, especially our recycled polyester items. But as far as now, we don't get anything back. I think that's a good sign. So, I mean, of course, sustainability or a sustainable product has to be as long on the market as possible, or as long at the customer as possible. So I think for now it's very difficult to have like a closed loop inside a company, because like if you bring something out the market, it should stay there at least for, I don't know, 10 years, hopefully, and then
how long
come
is
back.
the warranty you're offering?
Forever.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's something which we are also looking forward to in the future, as it's also very difficult to just recycle a few items. You always have to have like a big amount of material to be able to put it to a recyclist. I don't know if you call it like that. Yeah, so we're really looking forward how it's going in the future. But for now, our products hopefully stay there as long as possible.
And Annika, can I also ask you a question in regards to, you mentioned polyester, taking polyester back in. How are you managing the recycling of synthetics? Because I know that can be a bit of a pain. Is there like good solutions that you're currently working on to recycle the synthetic materials as well?
Yeah, so we are just working with 100% recycled polyester before. So all of our products are 100% polyester. So as we didn't get anything back yet.
Is it the rPET or is it actually polyester?
No, it's actually polyester. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So by keeping our products like 100% polyester, we hope that we are able to recycle them afterwards. So our padding, our lining, our upper material, the zippers, everything is the same material. Yeah.
So maybe I step into here if you, or do you have something to add in, because we are kind of really thinking of this process right now.
No, go on.
Okay. Yeah, we've teamed up with Wear to Wear. So this is an organization which we kind of would love to, if it's maybe that more people to join, because they're really trying to set up over the whole supply chain a system that everyone is talking to each other. So we are setting up this process new. And we had a recycler we have been working on, one of the biggest one of Germany, the last 5, 6, 7 years. But we decided to go into this company, and we had take back systems, our own. So we give, for example, if they get it back, they get 30% or 20% off. But it really, as you said, not many people are giving it them back. And it was the amount is way too less. So we have to think there, I mean, nationwide or even industry-wide or whatever, that now it's this 1% which is already recycled, but it has to increase in the future quite dramatically. So we think, or our belief is that we are all joining together on this one. And for polyester recycling, it's quite harsh because you need different polymers which go into, so, and they shouldn't be colored too much. And the most important is they're 100%, what you said also, Annika, they have to be 100% recycled. If there is a little bit of elastan or polyurethane in it, it can just be a little percentage, but shouldn't be a lot at all. So what we are doing and what we are introducing in a week is that even our waterproof membrane is already pre-consumer, like our fabrics on the 3-layer jackets is already pre-consumer recycled and post-consumer. So you have also different steps of recycling. So before the production cycle, maybe all industry waste, or you have like the fabrics or like used things like bottles. But overall, fiber to fiber recycling, what should be the overall goal, is be really hard. And the industry is working on this, and it should be a main goal. But it's more or less a vision of everyone right now. And they're big, and this is where we think that maybe we small can inspire, but the big players have to move in, because we need products that will still have to be produced. Best is that we are taking care of them then, and then that we're washing them, that we are sharing them, that we are repairing them, that we downcycle them again. But it will still be that you have to have a product, because this is how we've been grown up so far. So, and this product should be as good as possible in the cycle. And I think there is just a nation, like this has to be an industry solution. What we are thinking right now, I don't know how you see this, maybe, or is anyone already considering or taking also, or has anyone a tip of events or other movements where this is discussed? I don't know what's your opinion on this.
sometimes the supplier have initiatives. At least we know from Echo now, we're in close contact with. They are working on a method to recycle again the used products, which is very interesting, especially for factory waste, so factory leftovers. But they are not at the stage yet that it's in place, but this is something we are looking into and looking forward to specifically. Yeah, I think it's always good to contact the producer of the yarn and the producer of the fabric, because they know the best solutions for that. Despite that, we are obviously taking returns back, and we are in the first place only using fabrics that don't need to be disposed after using them. Even if they have a little fault or a little mistake, we always repair or upcycle everything. Usually repair, but sometimes it happens that you can't repair it, and then we upcycle the products. For example, we had someone falling in our sports pants the other day, and we made shorts out of the pants, and then gave them back to the customer. It's obviously not the most efficient way of doing that, but it raises awareness as well to the consumer that they do it for other products too.
Also shows a great appreciation to the customer, which is always good.
And to the people who produce it, actually, because they actually like that their work is valued, and that it is not only a product that you just wear 4 times, which is the average, but you really love it and you want to wear it as long as possible.
Thanks. Nicolo, Eric, Verena, Jonathan, do you have any recycling ideas in place or in your mind?
Actually, we do.
I can, go right ahead.
No problem. We collect from our customers their clothes, but at the same time we give them the possibility to recycle our clothes after 2 years. But as we started 3 years ago, at the moment we haven't received any of our garments, but only garments from other brands. And at the moment we collect sweaters that are 100% wool, 100% cashmere, and jeans that are at least 95% cotton. We are focusing on these materials at the moment, and we collect them both online, because our customers, they can send us their sweaters in exchange of a coupon code, or with a partnership with local bio shops, actually.
All right, thanks. Eric, you also wanted to say something? I think. You're muted. Still. Yeah, now
Am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. One thing that might be interesting for some people to look into is there are some companies working on the chemical recycling of materials. There's mainly 3 streams. So you have mechanical recycling, which is usually shredding of fibers into new fibers. But that is a limitation, because you can only use like 50% of those recycled fibers in new materials, because the fibers get shorter. So you need raw new virgin fibers. So that is good, but it has limitations. Then you have the chemical recycling, which is obviously using chemicals. So it's less, one could argue, less sustainable than mechanical recycling. But if you want a closed loop in the end, only the chemical recycling is going to be a solution for that. There are some companies working on that. There's a company in the Netherlands called ThokkThokk, and they are working on creating 100% closed loop recycled cotton. And I think there's also a few others in Europe that are working on the completely chemical closed loop recycling of natural materials, which is going to be the future. In hopefully, let's say 5 to 10 years, all clothing could be recycled if they're made from natural materials, with the polyester ones and all the synthetic ones, it can be a bit tricky. As mentioned before, if you mix them up, it's going to be tricky. I know a company in Poland. If someone wants to contact there, it's really random, but there's a company working there on with the depolymerization of polyester, because if you have the polyester, you have to depolymerize it to get it back to its original state. And they have found a way, I think, also to disperse the elastan from the polyester and then polymerize the two of those, which is pretty unique. But they told me that it's going to take at least like 5 to 10 years to scale up because it's very expensive to process. Same goes for the chemical recycling. As far as I know, it's very expensive right now. So a complete closed loop recycling is, I think, from what I know, pretty long ways till it's going to be there. But some people might have better insights than I do on that topic. So if anyone does, feel free to overrule my thoughts.
Yes, what we did with our last collection is that we use leftover fabrics. So we buy fabrics that were at least 10 or 20 meters long, so really small quantities. And we produced shirts of them. So they were maybe 20 or 30 shirts per style. But because we use different fabrics, it was workable for us. And another point is that one of our suppliers is recycling his leftovers. So we are right in the process of trying to figure out the perfect mixture of recycled cotton and virgin cotton.
Yeah, so we used in our circular tea, we will use 50% recycled cotton because we were collecting cutting waste and stuff for the last 3 to 5 years, I guess. And we will mix it with 50% tencel lyocell because this is like, in the end, you can recycle it again, because would you add like polyester or something, it wouldn't be possible. Yeah, that's what we do.
So I think I'm left. I'm the last one talking about how we do the collect of the return items. So first of all, we're super happy because we have an outstanding low return quote of like 25%. It's always under 30. It just raises like maybe on Christmas. So right now we maybe have 30. But so measured with the actual return quotes in the market from, let's say, Zalando, it's 70% right now. It's even far more than 50. So first of all, we have a very low return quote. And what is returned usually can be used again. So we just iron it and we package it again and we send it again to the customers. So we have a very, very low waste of material that is really like has to go to the trash. And as ThokkThokk has mainly only 100% cotton materials, we have an eye on the project of Armed Angels in Portugal, and we're waiting for them to be ready to recycle not only their own cotton tees, but also maybe others. So go for it, because we are waiting for, and we would love to recycle our cotton tees as well. Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Maybe one last thing to the return quote. I think what we believe is that in order to minimize the return quote, is to hinder people in the first place to buy products that they actually don't really need. And that's why we encourage every one of our customers to really think about their purchase, which made us, although bikini is a really difficult product in terms of return because the fitting is really difficult, but helping the customer to find the right fit and making them think if they really need the product, and obviously offering a product that is functional and not just for one specific purpose, really helps to reduce the return quote. And we managed to have one of 13%.
Wow. And concretely, how do you do that? Like hindering the customer about buying it fast? Do you really ask him? Or?
No, we explicitly ask them on our website to think about their purchase, but what also helps is that we don't make the return free. So people know that when the product doesn't fit, they have to send it back on their own costs, and that helps to reduce the return quote.
I can imagine that's a good measure. All right. Yeah, we have one comment from the audience saying that sounds like it would be great if sustainable fashion companies join together to set up rental, resale, or recycling structures, because I think definitely regarding sales and regarding recycling, you all have the same problems. And you should maybe try to team up on that, and then you can become a big player yourself. And yeah, I think that's really a point we should focus on. And I think we have to close the discussion now, because we are already over the time, and we could talk on for much longer, since you all know a lot about all your value chain. And I would just say that we can forward some questions from the audience maybe to you afterwards via mail, and then we all do a blog article about this event where you, as well as the audience, can read the most important things again, and maybe if you want that, put some contact details of you, and also that you can contact each other. Making a small advertisement for Climate Connect. If you didn't sign up yet, just create your organization on Climate Connect with you as a member, and then you can also directly chat in Climate Connect. And if you have any questions, you can just that's what we want with our platform. It's nice if people sign up, but we want interaction. We want you to interact. Just use Climate Connect maybe as a different channel rather than email, just to stay in contact with yourself. Yeah, so I would like to
interrupt you. Just speaking of which, so with the platform, we have been creating hub pages. So,
yeah, good point.
Dedicated pages, and we created one for fair fashion. So in there, we will be able to to find a lot of projects and organizations that are working towards sustainable fashion practices. And so there, we will also create some main group chats for those who just want to ask some questions. As you all like during the event, share some tips and experiences, or maybe if there are some news about like new chemical recycle process that appears, or some other news that can also be beneficial for everyone being there.
Or if you find a good factory who's saying, yeah, we could produce for you, but you don't have enough products for us, you could ask another company who's using the same products, maybe if they also want to use that factory. Just talking about good locations.
One question, is it possible to subscribe to those platforms? Because I think every one of us has so many channels that we use. It is very difficult to really check up on every news page like yours. It's not only use, but it's exchange. But is there a way on doing that?
Do you mean when you get a message that you get an email that you got messaged, or what do you mean by subscribe?
Yes, yeah. For example, to know when there's news or someone contacted you or something.
Yeah, Thomas, interrupt me.
Yeah, by default, when someone, so there is like a private chat message in the platform. And so when someone sends you a message, you already get an email notification saying that someone sent you a message, and so you can talk so you can directly answer them on the platform. And then some feature that we will implement to have some notifications when another organizations that's like fits your criterions also subscribe. So for example, you can get an alert if you wish. If there's another sustainable fashion companies that just signed up, so then you can also see like their profiles, see what they're doing, where they come from. And also something that we like to have is on the projects. If you create some projects page, you can also highlight the different needs you're facing with your companies. So you can say, okay, so we would like someone that could do some volunteer for us in like marketing, or someone has knowledge into recycling, someone has knowledge into communication, etc. And the idea is to make those needs fit with the other individual that want to take actions, because this is the point of the platform, just to put some people like you who does things and people who wants to get involved into those things, so they can first get to know and buy your products, but also get involved directly also with organizations.
Okay.
Okay. So if no one has something more to say, and maybe also it's something that we can figure out on the long term, but just to redo such type of event, because we could like only approach 3 out of the 5 topics, and even among the 3 topics there will be like many other stuff to talk about. So maybe we'll just stay all in contact, and maybe at some point it could make sense to do it like a second event, or maybe on a specific topic, depending on whatever you would like to talk about.
Yeah, and I would like to add, we were like only 11 companies now in the process of getting in touch with you. I found like 50 companies doing sustainable fashion, and I will encourage them as well to sign up on our platform. So you will maybe find a company which is pretty near to you, and you could doing maybe similar stuff, and you could just get in contact, because I think before this meeting you also didn't know each other's existence maybe, and this is also what Climate Connect is good for. You could see really in the fashion branch of our platform, you could look for other companies active in the sector, and we will reach out, constantly reach out to new players, so there will be more fashion companies coming. Good, then Thomas, I would say ready for the closing words.
Yep, it's just like there's no specific thing to say, just we really thank you for having participating. That's really important. It was really nice to see you all like asking questions to each other, and this is really how by doing so that we will be able like to make some global change happening. And so we wish you a lot of good luck into all of your projects, and we will just look forward to have some news from you, and wish to get to you in contact with you later. Thank you everyone for participating, and it was really nice to have you there.
Also a very big
Thanks to you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. Have a nice evening.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.